If you've set out to lose weight before, I can pretty much guarantee you've heard of a calorie deficit. And there is so much confusing shit out there on what a calorie deficit actually is. So in this video, we're gonna break down what a calorie deficit actually is, some common misconceptions that people get wrong about it, why it's important and you need it for weight loss, how you can overeat one day and still actually stay in a calorie deficit, and then what your calorie deficit should be. If you're new here, welcome. My name's Noah and I've been a full-time personal trainer for the last 5 years after graduating from my kinesiology degree. And I'm just trying to cut through all the bullshit that's out there in the fitness industry and simplify things so you can lose weight in the easiest way possible. So what exactly is a calorie deficit? Well, simply put, a calorie deficit is just eating less calories than you burn in a day. But unlike what most people think, you don't actually have to burn all your calories from exercise. And I made a video breaking down where you burn calories in a day, so I'll leave that linked in the description for you to watch after this one. But here's the Spark Notes version of that video. Do people still know what Spark Notes actually are? This chart right here is called your TDEE, and it's just a breakdown of where you burn calories in a day. And exercise is only that tiny little sliver up at the top. Then working our way down, we have TEF. This is just the calories you burn in a day digesting food. Then we have NEAT, and this is just the calories you burn just from basic movements during the day. And then last on our chart there is called BMR. And this is the calories you burn just existing in a day. Literally, you burn calories just sitting on the couch watching Netflix at night. And all of these factors together make up what we refer to as your daily calorie burn. And to lose weight, you need to eat less calories in a day than those combined factors, not just one of them. And it sounds simple, right? Well, unfortunately, in the internet age, there's so much bullshit out there, so we're gonna go over some of the common misconceptions of what people get wrong. Like, one of the biggest misconceptions out there is you don't actually have to eat clean 100% of the time and avoid all junk foods. And you can actually lose weight only eating crap foods. This study that will be linked in the description below is referred to as the Twinkie Diet Study. And it's from Professor Mark Hobb from Kansas State University. Basically, he followed a diet that was made up of 2/3 junk foods, and then the other third was made up from like multivitamins, protein shakes, other things just to make sure he didn't die. And this diet is made up in a way where most people would say there's not a fucking chance he lost weight doing that. But guess what? Because he stayed in a calorie deficit, he actually lost 27 pounds in 10 weeks. But that point brings us into the next thing a lot of people get wrong, and it's that only calories matter and the food quality doesn't matter at all. And before you rush to the comments calling me a fucking idiot, just let me explain. Can you lose weight only eating crap foods? Yes, you actually can. But does that mean you should lose weight only eating crap foods? Absolutely fucking not. Because two major things are gonna happen if you try to lose weight only eating shit foods. One, you're gonna feel like fucking shit all the time. And two, you're gonna lose a lot of muscle because you're just not gonna be eating enough protein to maintain that muscle as you lose weight, which means you're gonna end up looking skinny fat, which isn't that shredded physique that you probably looked for when you set out on this journey. So here's the realistic lessons we can take from that study. Eating one bad meal isn't gonna derail all your progress, but eating whole foods is gonna make staying in your calorie deficit drastically easier. Because to lose weight, it is all about calories. But your body composition varies drastically on the food quality of the calories that you're consuming. But one of the biggest misconceptions out there has to be that if your calorie deficit is too big, your body enters starvation mode and just starts to hold on to more fat. If this were the case, we would see prisoners that were starving looking overweight instead of just being skin and bones. However, our bodies will start to adapt to the amount of calories you're eating. Here's what I mean. Now, let's say you start out losing weight eating 2,000 calories a day. Eventually, after eating that for so long, your body is going to start to adapt and your new maintenance calories is going to become 2,000 calories a day. Meaning if you want to lose weight, you're going to need to bring those calories even lower. Now, if a client comes to me and says they've been eating 1,500 calories for years and they're not losing any weight, one of two things is happening. Most often, they're not actually tracking their calories right, and they're eating a lot more than they realize. This usually happens because they're just eyeballing their food instead of using a scale to weigh it. Or in very rare cases, they've actually been eating 1,500 calories a day for a long time and their body's just adapted. So in this case, we actually have to reverse diet them out, which is just a fancy way of saying we need to slowly increase the amount of calories they're eating. But that's a whole other topic for a whole other video that I'll make. You also don't have to starve yourself to be in a calorie deficit. And also, just because you're hungry doesn't mean you're in a calorie deficit either. If you're eating ultra processed, high calorie foods, you could actually still feel hungry while eating in a calorie surplus, meaning you'll actually gain weight because you're eating too many calories. Versus if you eat whole foods, you could actually be full and be in a calorie deficit because those foods have much lower calorie density, meaning you're gonna be able to eat a lot more of it and stay in a calorie deficit. But that doesn't mean it's normal to feel full at the end of every day while you're in a calorie deficit, because a little bit of hunger is actually completely normal. Now, I mentioned in the intro, you can actually overeat one day and still stay in a calorie deficit. And that might sound of a complete contradiction of what I already told you, but just hear me out. Because when it comes to losing weight, a weekly calorie deficit will matter much more than a daily calorie deficit. So what does that mean for our weight loss? Well, it means if you slightly overeat on one day, but you get back on track in the following days, you'll still stay in a calorie deficit, so you'll still lose weight. And this is what so many people get wrong when it comes to losing weight. They overeat a little bit on one day and they just continue to spiral out of control because they think they've ruined all of their progress. But if you just get back on track in the following days, you still will lose weight. Maybe not as fast, but it still will happen. And I made a short breaking the numbers down on this, so if you're interested for those math geeks out there, I'll link that in the description below. Okay, so now you're probably wondering how you calculate your calorie deficit. But first, we need to calculate our maintenance calories, meaning just the amount of calories you need to eat in a day to stay at your current weight. And to do that, we're gonna use a BMR calculator online. And I'll use the one that we're using here linked in the description below so you can use it yourself. And for this, I'm just gonna use myself as the example. So for this, I'm a 26-year-old, 5'9" 183-pound male. Then we're gonna look at this chart right here on the right, and based on your activity level, you can see your maintenance calorie burn. For me, I'm in the daily exercise or intense 3 to 4 times a week. So mine is about 2,805 calories a day. Now for this part, it is crucial that you don't lie to yourself about your current activity level. Because if you do, you're just gonna slow, if not stop your progress altogether. Now, if I were to go into a calorie deficit myself, the first question I'm gonna ask is how fast do I wanna lose weight? But that doesn't mean that the more aggressive my calorie deficit, the faster I'll lose weight. It does mean I might see a little bit more progress in the short term, but usually inexperienced clients who do an aggressive calorie deficit just see a big rebound when they stop doing their aggressive calorie deficit. But a comfortable calorie deficit for most people is around 500 calories a day. And this will usually result in about a pound of weight loss a week. And for those that don't know, there's about 3,500 calories in a pound of fat. So 500 times 7 is 3,500 calories, which is in theory why we would lose a pound a week. So for me, that number would be 2,300 calories a day. And I say hypothetically loses us a pound a week because there's other factors that go into that, like our weekly activity level, how accurately we actually tracked our food for that week. So don't get discouraged if one week you lose no weight, and then don't get on a super high and sabotage yourself if one week you lose 3 pounds, because it usually averages out over time. And that's Calorie Deficit for Beginners 101. And if you liked this video, you'll probably like my last video on our no bullshit way to lose weight. So I'll leave that linked here. Until next time, peace.